And there you go. Okay. We are going to cross over now to go speak with lawyer and advocate Moses Foh Amoaning. As I said at the beginning of the show, lawyer Moses Foh Amoaning is somebody who needs very little introduction, especially if you come from my era, back in the day when he was on TV and all of that. We'll find time to talk about that also. But you say we are here for a little bit of some serious business. Let's go over and go talk to lawyer Moses Foh Amoaning, who is joining us by phone. Unfortunately, he's unable to join us by TV also because he's in transit. Next time we get him, hopefully he can join us on TV as well. But right now, let's cross over to go speak with lawyer Moses Foh Amoaning. Lawyer, thank you very much for joining us today.
Well, thank you too. And I think it's afternoon now. So which state are you operating from? So please, I
am in Texas, sir. We're operating from the Dallas area in Texas.
Wow, so you're about 7 hours behind us. That's a lot of time.
About 6 hours, yes.
Okay, so you probably still be in the morning, sort of.
Yes.
Getting close to.
We're heading towards midday right now.
Great, lovely. Okay, so, good morning to all your listeners. Just about 2 minutes to the top of the hour. And in Ghana, it's getting to the evening. It's pretty cool here. The weather's getting colder because of the Hamatan. So you can imagine very dry, very humid. And we'll see how it all goes. But thanks a lot for linking up with us.
Thank you very much, lawyer. So let's talk about this a little bit. Just the other day, we heard that you had called for an inquiry into the affairs of the NaCCA, the curriculum board people. What prompted this, lawyer?
Well, let me start, it from this way. The thing is, the national organization, the regulatory body that produces curriculum for our school children, from the primary school right up to the senior high school, is this NaCCA. It's a curriculum and council, that an authority that has been established to look at what goes into the education that we give to our children.
Yeah.
And as you know, the LGBT movement is all about advocacy. And they have a cradle to grave strategy. You are living in Texas. I'm sure you know that there's an LGBT choir in California, and they have a song that says, "We are coming for your children." If you Google, you're going to see it. And the reason is very simple. The LGBT movement knows that when it comes to people like myself and the older generation, we have our own stock views on these matters. We don't think it's culturally appropriate, and we can't even live by it. So the whole idea is, let's get to the young people, let's use the educational medium, and the best way to change people's mindset. And by the way, I'm sure you know that the LGBT movement is the most, influential social movement in the 21st century. They have changed minds. If you go back to the data from the 50s, nobody was interested in LGBT in America or even in Europe. If you mention it, you're going to run into lots of trouble. But over 40 years, they have changed people's minds to such an extent that it is something that people prefer. If you look at the Gen Z generation and all the data, in fact, I was reading something this afternoon that shows that right now, the age at which people come out, as they say, as falling from 23, 24, about 10 years ago to 17 years. And it's all because the education system has been utilized, especially in the Biden era and in Obama's era as well, to change people's mindsets. So education and the content of the things that go into it to make the whole LGBT phenomena acceptable and normal, it has a lot to do with education. And so we in Ghana and Africa are very, those of us who have come together to kind of respond to the LGBT agenda, our critical area that we are looking out for is how these things, these LGBT ideas and normalization of LGBT activities is being seeped into our educational system. Sadly, they start right from the top, including the United Nations. United Nations, UNESCO, for example, has become a very critical tool. That is UNESCO, United Nations Educational and Children and Cultural Organization. That has been used as a tool pushing educational material into third world and other countries who are resistant to LGBT ideas. And NaCCA has been very, very instrumental in coalescing these ideas and secretly smuggling them into Ghanaian, educational content. Those of you who follow, you know that when this the whole idea of comprehensive sexuality education is an LGBT-driven educational toolkit to influence young people, right from when they are born, educating them right through toddler section to kindergarten, right up to secondary school, and even the university. So those of you who remember, I followed it, those of you Ghanaians, in 2017, 2018, this same NaCCA, where the conduit through which the comprehensive sexuality education was being brought, into the Ghanaian educational system. Thankfully, we caught them, we accosted them. The national debate went on, and within a few days, the government itself withdrew all the literature. By the way, tons and tons of literature have been produced and paid for, and some of them have been shipped into Ghana with LGBT material. But when we accosted them, that material was posted. So it's the same NaCCA. I'm placing the whole thing into a context so your listeners can understand that this is not just happening. It is part of the LGBT strategy to influence society and to normalize LGBTQ plus activities, especially in countries and in cultures that are resistant to these whole ideas. And that's why we feel that it's not just a matter of, a grassy maca, and so, okay, it's a mistake, let's forget about it. No, we're saying, I'm sorry, that can't happen. We have to investigate and find out what is happening.
What's going on there? Because you see a recurrence of that. Yep. But why would NaCCA do that? What do you think is going on there? At this point, we only conjecture, let me say. What do you think is going on there?
Let me give you the facts. People are being paid to do what they're doing. Now, let me refer you to since President Trump took over in the United States as president. He's gone after the U.S. aid. If you Google right now to the money, how the monies of U.S. aid were being utilized, you will see that a huge chunk of U.S. aid money, U.S. taxpayers' money, including those of the people in Texas who don't like LGBTQ plus activities, that money was being funneled into third world countries to fund LGBTQ plus activities, including educational things like NaCCA. If you Google, you're going to see it. And I remember President Trump even laughing at some of the countries in Congo, blah, blah, all sorts of funny things. We have asked, for the details in respect of Ghana and how much money was brought into Ghana. We know that the Ghana AIDS Commission, for example, received about $200 million to use for to support, what they call some condoms and other things for MSM, that is men sleeping with men. And those money, some of them were channeled into institutions like NaCCA to push this agenda. So the reality
these are facts.
Yes. People are being paid to do what they're doing. And it's not only NaCCA. I'm sure we're going to talk about it when we have more time the next time. CHRAJ, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, is another institution that's been corrupted. So we are asking for a total investigation, not only by the executive arm of government, that is the Ministry of Education. We're asking that they set up a committee, a ministerial committee, to investigate NaCCA and find out what is happening. We're also calling on Parliament, because Parliament has a supervisory, control over executive institutions and regulatory bodies. We are asking the Parliamentary Subcommittee on Education and Culture to investigate what has happened, but not only that, also to investigate CHRAJ and other UN agencies in Ghana, which as I've indicated, have all been corrupted by progressive elements around the world.
That is even more dire than I thought. But what would the interest of the LGBTQ lobby be with CHRAJ, for instance? With NaCCA, you explained that excellently. But with CHRAJ...
let me explain. The Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice is a state institution that deals with human rights issues. Now, one of the clever things that the LGBT movement has done is to try and capture LGBT activities and LGBT so-called rights as part of international human rights law. That is part of the deception that has been, perpetrated on all of us. And in fact, until I started raising these points and researching, a lot of Ghanaian lawyers believe that, even Walter believe that LGBTQ plus rights were part of human rights. Because that's part of the argument that they use a lot. Oh, it's a human right. It's part of international human rights. That's a big lie from hell. I am challenging any lawyer, American, Ghanaian, English, show me any of the United Nations standard covenants, the United Nations Human Rights Declaration, the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, the ECOSOC rights, United Nations Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Children, right of violence against women. Show me any of the standard UN covenants that has got LGBTQ plus written directly or expressly in any of these covenants. I am telling you, any United States lawyer who's listening to me, show me the law. Let me see. It is part of their strategy because LGBT. You see this whole. Well,
so you're saying there's nothing in the United Nations.
Nothing. You won't see anything.
Which even speaks about sexual rights, anything like that.
There's nothing in any of the UN covenants talking about sexual rights and LGBT. Nothing. What they do is to imply it. They presuppose that the LGBT plus community is a minority, so you are discriminating. Says who? So can I also say that people who practice polygamy also are being discriminated against? So the United States to allow polygamy. Can I make that argument? You are living in the United States. Is polygamy allowable in the United States?
In very restricted places, if you really check it out, there are communities that are living that practice that, but in very controlled circumstances.
Well, your practice is illegal. I will give you the United States law, lots of federal laws that are against polygamy.
That's right.
All of them. They
That's right.
don't allow things like that. You say, if you constitute the LGBT community, and by the way, what's the meaning of LGBTQ? All of that is also part of their strategy. Bring all sorts of things together so they can get the numbers. Because if we go through all these letters, every one of them is distinctive. Question, why did they put all of that together? But I'm sure that's a question for another time. The question I'm trying to address is why CHRAJ has become the focal point for LGBTQ plus lobby. And I'm explaining to you that it is part of their strategy to couch LGBT rights as part of human rights law. I'm saying that that's false. And I will explain it if I have time.
Please.
But the point is, all international state institutions that deal with human rights, there is an umbrella UN organization that puts all of them together. 2 or 3 times a year, they all go to Geneva. And the LGBT lobby has put a lot of pressure and a lot of money to lobby these state institutions so that they will agree with them that LGBT rights are part of international human rights law. I'm saying that that's not true. Next time when I have the time, I'll get into the details and give you the law. All right? So
I hear you.
We have the CHRAJ community here. The chairperson, he's my own mate, Joe Whittle. We have tracked him. He's been going to Geneva over the last 5, 6, 7 years. He's been to Geneva more than 30 times. And when they go there, they try and influence them instead of the CHRAJ, that is a Ghanaian human rights institution, championing the Ghanaian view and the African viewpoint as to what are proper human rights. He's rather pushing the agenda of Europeans and, well, I wouldn't say all Americans, with some progressive viewpoint as to LGBT rights being human rights. Mr. Nidimwa, let's speak a bit of tree, because I don't want to offend your understanding. Mr. Obama, if somebody wants to enter through the exit, is it even human? You are sitting in the studio, try and put water in your ears and see, do you put water in your ears? You can, if you start putting water in your ears right now, I'm sure the producers are going to come for you because they will say there's something wrong with you. All right? These are all abnormal behavior. If people have these problems and have a person to want to enter through the exit, it means there's a problem. What the person needs is a bit of guidance and help out of that situation. You don't glamorize it. Unfortunately, some people have decided in Western Europe to glamorize it. Well, that's your choice. In fact, we say,
how would you respond to people who would also say that in as much as you don't glamorize it, you also don't penalize it?
We don't. The point is, you want to glamorize it. We don't want to glamorize it. But people who want to glamorize it and advocate and sponsor, they are the ones that we're after. And if you want to glamorize it, you are the one. If you want to stand in the street and show it, we're going to arrest you, because just as a prostitute cannot exhibit himself here in Ghana, we will not allow that. Or somebody can go and even have incest. I hear this about privacy. Says who? So it means that if I'm having sex with my daughter and it is in my house, then it's not a criminal offense. Says who? So all of that is false. Look, I will take my time and break down the arguments one by one, and you will see there's a lot of falsehood and a lot of hogwash that have been thrown around all over the place. If a human being, look, all of us human beings have problems. Thankfully, let me end on this note if you don't have time. Thankfully, in Ghana, our coalition has created a huge hospital, and we cater for people with all these problems. We see it as a medical problem that has got psychiatric angles, psychological angles, endocrinological, which is hormonal imbalance problems, psycho counseling problems, and sometimes spiritual problems. There are angles to these things. So we have a treatment system that we call a holistic sexual therapy system, and we've been applying it over the period. We've helped hundreds of Ghanaians who've come to us. And we have a hospital. As I said, we've got professors of psychiatry, psychology, endocrinology, surgery, counseling, and several who do, spiritual people who are blessed by the power of the Holy Spirit, who can guide people out of these things. And we are offering help. So if somebody has that problem, by the law, I'm sure we're going to talk about the bill that is before Parliament. In that bill, we stated that if somebody has a problem, during investigation, arrest, trial, sentencing, even while he's in prison, if he feels that he really wants help, then we're not going to throw the person into prison. We're going to give him the sort of help that he requires. But if he says, I love it, I like it, I want to expose, sorry, we don't do those things here. In America, if somebody wants to practice polygamy, you're going to arrest the person. Instead, the person will be arrested. We don't promote prostitution. We don't do that. Why is this guy in prison? I've got him, this famous Sean Diddy Combs. Why he's in prison? Because of trafficking and, he did the federal offense didn't stick, but the other ones for whom he was arrested. All right. So we don't know. So we once we are prohibited in Ghana in terms of our law, if you come and expose yourself and show up, we're going to arrest you and we're going to prosecute you. Because we don't, unnatural carnal knowledge is an offense here in Ghana. And by the way, that was not introduced by the colonialists. Ghana got independence in 1957. The Criminal Offences Act that made unnatural carnal knowledge an offense was passed in 1960. So I've heard a lot of propaganda saying, it's part of colonial rule. I am sorry. Ghanaian cultural values, long before the white man came, was against such behavior. Although we're people with those tendencies, we tended to have a way of helping them out. And I'll give you countless examples the next time we meet.
Yes. So we will actually go into those details right now. You've raised my interest in getting into the details of all this. But let's focus on the probe, if you will, or the inquiry that you're asking for now. And we'll also go into the bill, as you've indicated. Now, you've mentioned NaCCA, you've mentioned CHRAJ. Which other institutions are potentially going to be affected? Mm-hmm.
Well, there are lots of institutions. I'm giving you all the United Nations agencies here in Ghana. That one, we want the investigation conducted by Parliament's subcommittee on foreign affairs, on foreign relations, because Ghana is a member of the United Nations. And if, as a member, the institutions or the agencies of the United Nations, which are subject to the membership, the General Assembly, if it is going wayward or pushing ideas that are progressive and against the general desire of a majority of members of, then we have a right to investigate and say that, no, we don't like the way you use the money. For example, President Trump has withdrawn the United States from the World Health Organization. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And he's done so because the WHO is not a rogue organization. Go and look at their definition for sexual rights and even prostitution. It will amaze you. They're even allowing children, the definition is allowing children, they have children's rights, such that children can even enter into prostitution at a certain age, It's so ridiculous. So the World Health Organization itself has gone AWOL, it's become rogue now. And there are a lot of UN agencies that are not responding to the core mandate that was given to them. I'll give you the example of UNESCO. that is now being used to funnel a lot of false educational material and normalizing all sorts of things. All right? People talk about intersex rights. Let's use intersex as an example. We call them hermaphrodites here in Ghana, or if somebody is born and he's got both male and female sex organs, right? That is a medical abnormality. But the fact is, you can correct it. When a child is born and is intersex, you can always check genetically or chromosomally by the chromosomal markings whether it's male or female. So it doesn't matter the sort of aesthetic changes that the person goes through. You can take hormones and become a man, a boy, or change whatever you want to change. But the reality is, my brother, your chromosomal markings will never change. Your genetic markings will never change. But when you die, your bone structure, if you're male, is only male and female. It doesn't matter what the LGBT movement says, which is rather sad, because they have deceived all of us to such an extent that even the
Hello? Radio culture. Lawyer, still there?
Hello?
Yeah. I can hear you now, yeah.
Exactly. I'm just saying that I thought the Western European culture is built on science, verifiable facts. But a lot of the LGBTQ plus positions are counter to medical science. For example, you tell me that the other gender, really? I mean, I have told you that whether you aesthetically change your gender to take hormones, whatever you do to yourself, there are only two genders, male and female. And if you die, in fact, there's a little video which was all over the place. I think it went viral. President, what's his name? I think they used AI to generate a speech by President Biden. And at the end of it, the person said that if you die and you go into the grave, your bone is either male or female. That's a medical fact. You can't change it. It doesn't matter what anybody says. So I'm just giving an example of how the United Nations or the World Health Organization, which is a UN agency, is running even counter to basic biological facts. And I'm saying that for intersex, if somebody is born intersex, we can know whether he's male or female. And therefore, at birth, when we discover it, we can go through surgery to correct it. And if it is female, we take out the male part, and then we allow the female parts to grow properly, because abnormalities happen with human beings. For example, Siamese twins or conjoined twins. When they are born, we don't say, oh, let us wait till they grow before, we perform surgery to separate them. Is that what we say? Of course not. We don't say that. So, but the LGBT movement, this lobbying of the World Health Organization, now I've got what they call intersex child rights, something funny. Indeed, our current Constitutional Review Committee wanted to sneak it into our law.
Speaking of which, lawyer,
we're going to address that, yeah.
Speaking of which, let me ask you, what exactly did you detect in the curriculum that sounded the alarm bells for you, that rose the hairs on your arm?
The definition of gender identity. We won't read it. The definition was saying that it's not just male and female, but has to do with people whose genders don't correspond to their biological sex, but also the way they feel, or something, to that effect. They were not holding on to the biological definition of male and female, which is what President Trump has come to change anyway. All right, and we're saying that a person can identify and be any gender that he feels. What kind of nonsense is that?
That was in the Ghanaian curriculum. At what level? At what level and in what subject?
Oh, it was in health. I think physical education, health. You Google, you get all the details, but it's all there. Yes, that's it's one of the material that was printed by NaCCA, and they've withdrawn it. Is there any debate about it? Are you debating?
No, not at all. We just want to educate our listeners as much as possible.
Yeah. So if you Google, you will get the exact document. I don't have, as I said, I'm in transit. So
that's right.
I don't have the exact. But the health, education, physical.
No, but you answered the question though. You don't have to give us exact. At least you pointed us in the direction. What exactly you had consensus, so we can go and Google that for ourselves and find it out. But also, so NaCCA withdrew the curriculum. What was their reason for withdrawing the curriculum?
No, they said it was a mistake. That's all they said. No other reason. They said it was an error, and they're going to correct it. By the way, the Ghana National Association of Teachers have indicated that they recognize the problem. They raised it finally a couple of months ago, and nobody listened to them. It was because it came out, and there was a hue and cry. That's why they're running away from it. So those who had been paid to put it there, they were not prepared to change it. It was when the public...
So which ministry oversees NaCCA? I'm assuming that to be the Ministry of Education.
Exactly, that's what it
What
is.
is
So
the...
the minister ordered them to withdraw, and they have withdrawn, and all the publications have been removed out of the system.
What?
But it doesn't mean the people in there are going to change. That's why we're asking for the investigation. Because I've told you the history. These were the same people who brought the comprehensive sexuality education matter. So they have a history of behaving like this. And they are paid hirelings of the LGBT lobby and LGBT movement around the world.
What has the ministry's reaction been towards the withdrawal of the curriculum, or towards the uproar?
No, they actually ordered it, and they said, well, they are surprised that this thing has come up. The Minister of Education, Haruna Idrisu, has spoken loudly against it, and everybody has been in arms against the government, because don't forget that this current government came to power on the wings of even passing the LGBT bill. The whole posture of the previous government, my own good friend, former President Akufo-Addo, one of the things that brought his party into the abysmal defeat they suffered was his own support for the LGBT movement. He clearly liked it, and he was, despite the fact that Ghanaians are given a mandate to rule according to our will on this matter, he said his will prevails, and Ghanaians showed him the red card in his party, and they were thrown out of power. So this particular, issue was very vital to the elections, and this government was on the opposing side. So these matters, the fact that the bill that they said they were going to pass has not been passed, when this issue of the curriculum also came back up, honestly, it was a huge political storm for them here.
I see. Speaking of the bill, let's look into it a little bit. I know that it's been reviewed and everything, but whatever we're going to say at this point, I guess, will be based on what was put out earlier, right? I hear it's going to be reviewed before it will be represented or whatever, if the case be that way. But to what degree are you involved in the framing of that bill? Were you involved in it at all?
Well, let me explain my position. The thing is that I'm the executive secretary of the National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values. This is a huge amalgamation of Ghanaian Christian, all our Christian groups, the ecumenical groups. That's Christian Council of Ghana, Calibisos Conference, Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, National Association of Charismatic Churches, all the Christian groups, and the para-Christian groups like Full Gospel,
Scripture Union,
GAFES, Boys Brigade, Girls Brigade, everybody's involved. And then we have the Muslim brothers with us as well, both the Ahmadis and then the Sunnis as well. In fact, the chief imam is our patron. And then we have our, traditional rulers, both Queen Mothers and all the houses of chiefs, traditional houses, councils, regional house of chiefs, national chiefs, they're all a part of our coalition. That is the coalition of which I'm the executive secretary. So when I speak, I speak as a lawyer when I have to, but in my conversation with you now, I'm speaking as executive secretary and the spokesperson of the coalition. Now, the coalition was a major sponsor of the bill. Your question is, were we involved? Of course, yes. We're very much involved in developing the policy plans and the actual drafting of the bill itself. It is something that we had pursued. The coalition was inaugurated on the 18th of December 2013. So this year we're going to be 13 years old. So it's very much part of our advocacy. So we're very much involved in it.
I see. And so I would assume that you're very comfortable with the bill as was presented.
Well, good question about as it was passed. As it was presented, we were part of the delegation that presented to the what's called Speaker of Parliament. When did we do that? I think in 2023 or thereabout. If you check and Google, you will see the picture. The day it was the private members bill was presented by I don't think we were fully 8, but we had our representative there. I think Apostle Fogo, who's the chairman of the council, was there, and a few other people. I wasn't there. But as it was presented, well, we had a few, the original thing that we drafted had a bit of a more of a policy balance. And let me explain. The policy balance was this, that, you know, as I told you, we view LGBTQ practices as an abnormality, but we don't glamorize it. But we provide care, treatment, and support for those who require that help. Unfortunately, because the private members bill in Ghana by Article 106 of the Constitution is not supposed to impose a charge on the exchequer, you know, the cost of care, treatment, and support became a problem during the, you know, the consideration stage. That is when it was being discussed at the Parliamentary Legal Committee level. People said, well, if you're not careful and there's cost, treatment, and support, it's going to be a cost and people can object to it in court. And actually, that was the basis of the court action that was initiated. So those bits and pieces about care, treatment, and support, although the drafting language that we used stated clearly that the cost, treatment, and support was supposed to be borne not by the state, but by the individual or CSOs like our coalition, because we've been treating people for free. We've been doing this is something we've been doing. Although the drafting language was clear, there were arguments, so those provisions on care, treatment, and support were taken out. And also flexible sentencing policy, which is very critical to us, because you made the point that, oh, if if you don't like the glamorization, you don't need to penalize. That was a lovely phraseology. I explained to you why we can penalize. But the truth is, as a faith-based coalition, our folks were keen on creating a balance. It's not just a matter of throwing people into prison, because if people have got hormonal problems, if people have gotten into LGBT activities because of social pressure or peer pressure or money matters or biological reasons, the hormonal imbalance I'm talking about, you don't just pick up that person and throw him into prison. It's not going to solve anything. So we were keen on offering help. And by the way, as I've indicated, we have a hospital that provides that treatment already. So from our experience, the policy plan was to ensure that when during arrest, investigation, trial, sentence, even while he's in prison, if the person wants help, you give him the help. You don't throw the person to prison. Prison and the penal punishment was limited to specifically for those who are sponsoring, who are advocating, who are pumping money into the system, and who say, we love it, we like it, they want to show it out. But for those who really need help, we wanted them to be helped. Unfortunately, as I said, because of the legal trappings of private members' bill, this was excluded, and the flexible sentencing policy was also taken out. So the bill as was passed on the 28th of February 2024 had these deficiencies. And that is why, for example, when the current president said, okay, he's been voted in, the LGBT issue was a particular plank of his campaign. And so he wanted the Attorney General to bring it as a public bill rather than the private members' bill. Public bill will not suffer from the legal difficulties that I've explained. So we were in support of the public bill being brought by Attorney General. Unfortunately, the president promised this in January last year. It has not happened. All right. So if your question is, were we involved? Of course we were. Are we happy with what was finally passed? No.
Why do you think it hasn't happened yet? Why do you think the president has not prioritized?
Very good question. I mean, politicians, when they are in opposition, their language is different. But when they get into government, then they change. They claim all sorts of pressures that I don't even understand. Because to be honest with you, former President Akufo-Addo claimed that President Biden, the United States, democratic government, was very much LGBT oriented. But Trump is not. As you can see, he has rolled back a lot of the LGBT stuff, and especially transgenderists. He's rolled back a lot of things. And if Ghana, wants to do what he wants to, I don't think Trump is going to put any pressure. Even in Europe, the Italian Melania, I've forgotten her name, Meloni, she's very much in support of countries that want to resist these things. And the African countries are bonding together to do what we want to do. So I don't see what pressure they're talking about. People talk about we won't get loans. Is this not laughable? I mean, how come politicians, when you are coming into power, you tell us we have the men, we have the knowledge, we have the Gumnini, the battle is the Lord's. When you come into power, you put this country into an economic mess. such that your finance minister is running all over the place, you know. And then you turn around and tell us, oh, I said, what are you doing? Is it not painful? But this has that's why I switched into the local dialect. You know, it doesn't even make sense. How can you mismanage the economy and then you come and tell us if we don't engage in LGBT, we're not going to get funding? Really? It doesn't even make sense. By the way, it's not even true. I have not seen any. I've challenged them. They should show us any agreement that Ghana signed, either with the IMF or with any international organization, for which reason is, if you don't do LGBT, are there pressures being brought upon the Ghana? Yes, the European Union put a lot of pressure. We know there is some European government that are putting pressure, but certainly not the United States government. And in any case, this is a matter of sovereignty. So why wouldn't Ghana, Ghana, be able to say that this bit of what we call cultural imperialism, we're not going to accept it. Otherwise, you also go and accept polygamy in your country. Before you come and talk to us about activity. Activity.
Thank you very much. But as we wrap up, Moses, the thing with the bill is that, and I have to admit, I haven't read the entire thing, so I may not be observing the entire picture. But looking at some key points, what I noticed is that some parts of it may need to be looked at, especially parts having to do with association, right? So somebody doesn't report something and they get a jail term for it. That sounds a bit over the top, isn't it?
No, it's not true. It's not true that if you see somebody doing and you don't report, it's not true. In Ghana, if you see, we have a duty under the Constitution. Article 41 is clear that we have a civic responsibility to report crime and protect law and order. But if you don't report, nobody's going to. It's not true. There's no way. Well, you say you've not read it, but go and read, Google it, and have it, and show me the portion that says that if you don't report.
If you own a facility, if you own a house, where.
Yes, of course. But true, the same thing as a brothel. If you own a facility that's prostitution, you're committing an offense.
But I'm trying to. Moses, what I'm trying to do is try to get a little bit, and I love scenarios, right? So, for instance, you rent your house. You have 10 houses. You don't really know exactly what's going on in these places. You rent a house.
Let me help you. Let me help you. Don't even go far. The provision was very clear. It says that the landlord must have knowledge of
what's going on. So if the court is able to prove that the landlord had knowledge,
yes, otherwise the offense is not made out. Yes, it's you Google, you will see it's all there. We're not stupid. We drafted these things.
Of course not. Thank you very much, lawyer Moses Foh Amoaning. I believe that we owe you, or I say we are going to beg you for another interview to get a little more into the details of these things.
No, I'm willing to be on. So if you tell me, is it next week or when? When is that? So
my producer will reach back to you and reschedule so we can get more into the details of this. Today we call about the NaCCA thing. But as we go, what would you like to see? You've called for an inquiry in there. Let's say all that happens and everything. What would you like to see as a result of that inquiry?
No, we want to see those who are responsible held accountable. And if we have to dismiss them, we dismiss them. And that is the ultimate punishment they will suffer. And as I said, for CHRAJ, I want the commissioner removed. I think that Joe Whittle has outlived his usefulness, and he doesn't represent our views. Then the UN agencies that are here polluting and messing up, I want Ghana's investigation. By the way, we have lots of good friends in the US and around the world who are prepared to bring evidence and testify before this open commission as to how the United UN agencies have themselves been corrupted. It is going to be huge in Ghana. The whole world is going to hear about us, I'm telling you, because we have got evidence, we've got facts and figures. And we're going to demonstrate how the progressive world is trying to take over the United Nations. We don't want that. If they want to, let me end on this note. All of you, people sitting in California and LGBTQ, look, you can have sex, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. We don't care. We don't want. Radio culture. Because we don't come and do that over there. This neo-colonialism or cultural imperialism, we will resist it with every force under our end. And by the way, we're praying So despite all the attempt on President Trump's life and the shining, God will protect him. He's a good man. He's got his faults. I think this ISIS thing, ICE thing, I think he's gone a bit on the wrong side, but I think will be corrected. But in terms of his protection of the world, drugs, and LGBTQ plus nonsense, we are with him and we're praying with him. The Lord is going to protect him. He's a very good man and we love him. Trust me. Lots of us in Ghana, we support him. We love him. He's a good man because we can't have drugs. You know, he goes and picks up material. Everybody's shouting. Really? Do you know the drug problems we're having in Ghana here? You have no idea. You have absolutely no idea. And the next place I think you should tackle is Colombia. Because and I hear people talking about human rights. Really?
But what happened to sovereignty though? You mentioned Ghana's sovereignty at some point. If nobody has the right to invade Ghana's sovereignty with ideology, so to speak, how does America have the right to invade somebody's sovereignty physically?
Let me give you the international law basis.
Yes.
Our good an example which you can relate to it. Our finance minister, he governed this country as a finance minister for 8 good years. He handled our public accounts, right?
Yep.
He's accountable to the people of this country. He has led this country. We are asking him to come and answer. He says he's not also because he's afraid. We're trying to extradite him. That is the lawful process of getting somebody who's committed an offense and he has fled the jurisdiction to come and respond to his criminal activity. Now, in international law, there are bases on which you can extend what we call extraterritorial jurisdiction. Maduro has been indicted in the United States court for offenses which they have lined up. If you read the indictment, you can see it. So the United States and the international law has got every right to ensure that the person is brought lawfully by extradition.
Including bombing the person's country to extract him as an elected leader of his country?
I am coming to that. What I'm saying is, do you think it was possible to extradite such a person? That he will come lawfully? Do you think it was possible? The man is the president. How is that going to be possible? He wasn't going to do it. So, and things were happening.
Necessary at that point.
For you Ghanaians sitting over there, you're going to be happy. Look, go to Florida. The Venezuelans were jubilating. Why? Because
of
the things
others were protesting.
Well, what I'm saying is that 8 million Venezuelans have left Venezuela. They have migrated. All these immigration problems you have in the United States is because the country was being run down to its ground. And under international humanitarian law, ask yourself, why was Ghana and ECOMOG created to go to Liberia and stop the nonsense over there? Are you going to say that's also a breach of sovereignty?
By extension, why did Nigeria bomb Benin? That's another issue I have a problem with. Sovereignty is key.
We'll talk about that. Why did the U.S. bomb the ISIS in Nigeria?
With the help of Ghana.
Well, yes. Look, my brother, you guys have no idea. If the United States didn't help stop this nonsense in northern Nigeria, look at the consequence of it. The coup in Guinea is fueled by Mali, Burkina Faso. It was coming close to us, my brother. You sit there, you would have been shocked.
But what has changed in Nigeria after the bombing? I don't think much has changed in Nigeria.
No. You Google, since the December 25th attack, ISIS is on the retreat. You Google and find out.
I see.
The Nigerian army is achieving a lot of success that they didn't achieve. Check and see the last time a Christian church was raided and killed. Check from the December 25th.
Nigerians have stated unequivocally that all that's going on is not even about Christians at all. But lawyer, our next interview is going to be very interesting the way I see it.
Yeah. Well, let me end on this note. The Nigerians who are complaining are those who are complicit. If you have your parents, so I agree, it's not about Christians alone, but the majority who are being killed were Christians. That's also a fact. There were Muslims who are being killed, but the majority, if you check the data, the majority who were being killed were Christians. That's also a fact. But it doesn't matter whether Christian or Muslim. The important thing is that these bandits were destroying northern Nigeria and affecting Nigeria's existence as a country. And I'm saying that it was affecting the whole of West Africa, my brother. It is not just about Nigeria. All the coup d'etats you've seen in Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea, and Guinea, all of that had to do with instability. And Ghana we were running risks. I'm telling you. But the Ghana army, the Ghana army is strong, we are reliable, but I'm showing you that the way they were sitting in, it wasn't a very nice thing at all. So I'm not saying the United States can just go bombing. No, they were collaborating with the Nigerian army. They helped. Look, even in Ghana, I know we have a relation with the U.S. African Command. They collaborate. They come here. We're relating with them. They give us intelligence. We are monitoring lots of things. If we don't get that help, we're also going to be overrun. So I agree with you about sovereignty, but sovereignty must be related in such a way that it is inherent to the benefit of the ordinary citizens. You go and check. There are a lot of Nigerian Muslims people who are profiting from the war that was going on in the north. Find out. You will see what I'm telling you.
All right. Lawyer, thank you so very much. I know you're in transit, so we will let you go for now. But like I said, our next interview, we have to set a couple hours because we touch on everything there is to touch on. Lawyer, before we go, finally, please. Back in the day, growing up, I used to see you on TV every weekend. Reminisce with us, please. Give us something to you remember those days, the TV days, and then today's social media. Tell us, how much do you miss those days when you were on TV?
No, I don't miss it. Well, I don't miss anything because maybe you probably are not aware, but I still do my programs. And they are not as regular because I'm older now. My schedule is very tight. So, but during the World Cup and the Cup of Nations for the last 20 years, 30 years, I've still been doing a countdown series to the Cup of Nations and the World Cup. I didn't do this Cup of Nations because Ghana didn't qualify, and it cost money to do it. So the sponsors were not, ready to throw in much money. But for the World Cup that Ghana is competing in, my countdown series, but I'll be in the States around about March of,
Are you coming close to the Dallas area? Because there's a Ghana match in Arlington, which is not too far from where I am right now. So if you're coming this way, that's like, go.
No, I'll probably be right in your studio in March because I'll be coming.
Did you hear that? Did you guys hear that?
Production work in the
yes. That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
As well.
Maybe we can attend the match in Arlington together and do a live from there or something.
No problem at all. I even before the tournament itself, I'm going to do the countdown series, about 3 months of production before the World Cup itself starts. So, as I said, I'll be in the United States to shoot some productions, to film some material on the state here and the people involved in all of that. So I'll be around.
Please stay in touch.
So
please stay in touch. All right. Yeah. Lawyer Moses Foh Amoaning, thank you so much for your time today. And we hope to speak with you very soon, not too long at all. My producers will check in with you to schedule the next interview, sir.
Okay, all right, thanks.
I appreciate your time. Thank you for all the work that you do for Mother Ghana. Thank you very much. Lawyer Moses Foh Amoaning joined us by phone. Hopefully next time we'll get him on TV. We'll be right back to wrap up the GH report, and then we'll also bring you agriculture right after this very short commercial break. Thank you for staying with us. We will be right back.